Alright, well this is a quiz on the properties of exponents. We'll be simplifying a bunch of expressions like these involving exponents. Do not watch this with a pencil in your hand. If you have a pencil or pen in your hand, get rid of it. Watch the video if you need to, but then go back and do the problems by yourself. Alright, problem number 1. Anything with a negative exponent is on the wrong side of the line. Here's the invisible fraction right here. I see this y term, this y expression has a negative exponent. So it is on the wrong side of the line and will have to drop down. So that is why on the next step I will have x to the 4th power, because that stays right where it was, but the y to the 6th power drops down and becomes positive. And this is actually the final answer. So for number 1, you should have had x to the 4th power over y to the 6th power. Similarly, on problem number 2, you see the fraction there. Okay, that x to the 6th power, that's not going anywhere. So I'm going to copy that down. Now, the x to the negative 2 power, alright, you see that negative exponent, that means this has to drop down. So I'm going to have x squared down here in the bottom. Now there's nothing left in the top, so I'm going to need a 1 up there to hold the place. So for my final answer, I'm going to have 1 over x to the 8th power. Guess I'll go ahead and put it here as well. 1 over x to the 8th power, because you add the exponents when you multiply. Alright, looking at number 3. Well, anything to the 0 power is 1. Please understand that this 0 only belongs to the y. So this is going to be 1. So 25 times 1 is simply 25. So the answer number 3 should have been 25. Now number 4. Notice we're not going to move this 16 anywhere just because it's negative. We're only moving things that have a negative power, a negative exponent. This is not an exponent. But I do need to reduce. Let's see, both of these are divisible by 2. So if I divide by 2 and divide by 2, then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. So this reduces down to 5 over negative 8. And really that's the only thing that happens. The x squared just stays there. So that's the final answer. So it really doesn't matter where I put this minus sign. Just to make a point, I'm going to put it in the middle now. So negative 5x squared over 8. You could put that negative on the bottom, the top, or in the middle. It's all the same. Okay. Looking at number 5. Well, I see a negative exponent to deal with. Okay, so that is going to have to move up. Also, we might as well reduce. So we will divide this by 3, and we will divide this by 3. So if we do that, you know what, I better make this bigger. I was trying to keep everything visible, but it's better to be bigger. Alright. So if I divide both of these by 3, then 18 divided by 3, I have 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, now this x squared is not going anywhere, so there's my x squared. This x to the negative 6th power moves up and becomes x to the positive 6th power. Alright, since there's nothing down here in the bottom, I really don't need this 1 anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to have 6x to the 8th power will be my final answer. That's number 5. Okay, so 6x to the 8th power. Alright, number 6. All of this is being squared, so I'm going to square everything. That means I'm going to have negative 4 squared, which is positive 16. And then I will have a squared, and I'll have b to the 12th power. I hope nobody put a 36. Alright, when you have a power to a power like this, you multiply. Well, that's it for that problem. 16 a squared b to the 12th. Alright, how about number 7? Okay, here again, this entire parentheses are being put to the 0 power. So anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so that means I have 1 over stuff. Now, when I have a negative exponent, especially when there's a number here in front, focus on the 5, because this is the part kids mess up. I'll have kids give me 20, negative 20, I don't know. This is not a negative number. So what I recommend is just for a moment, just stick that negative 4 power on here, okay? Just for a moment, just write 5 to the negative 4 power. Just leave it like that for a moment. Just like you would do with the x. You see that x, for a moment, you're going to have x to the negative 4 power. Treat the 5 the same way. Now these I can go ahead and multiply. Alright, and that's going to be negative 16. So I've got y to the negative 16 power. Now, anything with a negative exponent is going to get moved to the other side of the fraction. So guess what? All 3 of these have a negative exponent. So this is going to move up, and this is going to move up, and this is also going to move up. So if you do that, you're going to have 5 to the 4th power, and x to the 4th power, and y to the 16th power. Alright, since everything's in the top, I don't need a 1 or anything in the bottom. And I told you if you have the 4th power or higher, I'm going to let you leave it like that. So we'll just leave it like that. So 5 to the 4th power, x to the 4th power. So we had 5 to the 4th power, x to the 4th power, y to the 16th power. Now if you did this out and got the number, whatever that is, that's fine also. Okay, time for number 8. Okay. Now, me personally, I like to reduce things while they are separate. Please understand that this can be treated like one big fraction. Alright, just join it up. So I have 6 in the top and 6 in the bottom. Those 6's are definitely going to cancel each other out. Okay, I have 4 in the top and 16 in the bottom. 4 goes into itself once, 4 goes into 16 4 times. Notice it's a negative 1. Don't forget the negative. So that's it for the numbers. I really recommend you do that ahead of time. So, collecting things together. The only number I have in the top is my negative 1. Everything else canceled out. Now looking at the x's, I will have x to the negative 1 power. Remember, I'm just adding these exponents. 4 plus negative 5 is negative 1. Now in the bottom, see that 4? Alright, I have that 4 still there. X's, I have x squared. Y's, negative 5 plus 6 is 1. So that's y to the 1 power, or just y. So I have this so far as my middle step. Now, anything with a negative power has got to drop down. So this is going to drop. So if I do that, the only thing in the top is -1. And then I will have 4. And then here's the x that I just dropped down. And now here comes the x squared that was already there, and the y. So my final answer would be -1 over 4x to the third power y. Alright, that's number 8. Okay, number 9. I'm just going to take that -2 and do the power to all 4 of these things. Now again, look at what I'm going to do with that 4, because this is what students have the most trouble with. For a moment, I'm just going to leave it 4 to the -2 power. Alright, just leave it like that for now. And then I will have x to the positive 16 power. I'm multiplying. -8 times -2 is positive 16. Now I'm multiplying all of these by -2. So I will have x to the -8 power and y to the positive 12 power. Okay, so I have that. Now, anything with a negative exponent should be moved to the other side of the fraction. So this is going to have to go up, and this is going to have to come down. Alright, so if I do that, is what I will get. First of all, these things are going to stay right where they are. So I have x to the 16th power, that stays put. I have y to the 12th power, that stays right where it is. Now, I said I was going to move this up, so I'll have x to the positive 8 power that I just moved up. I said I would move this down, so I'll have 4 squared down here on the bottom. Alright, these switch places. Okay, so now it's time for the last step. Sort of cleaning this up a bit. So this will become x to the 24th power as I add these exponents. And because this is just squared, I better go ahead and write 16. And y to the 12th is still there. So this is the final answer for number 9. Okay, so I've got x to the 24th power over 16y to the 12th power. Alright, number 10. Alright, I think I will go ahead and multiply the numerator stuff together first. 4 times 2 is 8. X to the 4th times x to the 7th power is x to the 11th power. Alright, for the moment I still have this x to the -3. As we've discussed many times, anything with a negative exponent is on the wrong side of the fraction. So this is going to go up. So that is going to give us 8x to the 11th power. I just recopied that. But now, joining it is going to be x to the 3rd power. So now we're ready for the final answer, which is 8 x to the 14th power. Just add 11 and 3 make 14. So that's number 10. Okay, time for number 11. Alright, once again, see that 3 and the -2? This is 3 to the negative 2 power. For a moment, just leave it as 3 to the negative 2 power. We'll deal with it later. Right now we're treating it the same way we're treating the x, as we put x to the negative 2 power. Alright, don't try to do anything with it until after you move it and make it positive. So this is 3 squared, so that's fine and dandy. And these I will multiply. So that will be x to the 6th power. So once again, anything with a negative exponent needs to be moved. So this is going to drop down, and this is also going to drop down. So after I do this step, there won't be anything left in the top. So I'm going to need to put 1 up there. Okay, so I'm going to have 1. Now, I'm just going to recopy this. So for a moment here, I'm going to have 3 squared x to the 6th power. I just copied those two down. They're not moving. But this 3 to the negative 2 power is going to come down and become 3 to the positive 2 power. This x to the negative 2 power is going to come down and become x to the positive 2 power. Alright, dropped it, dropped it. So now I can put these together. Let's see, how much room do I have? Better start going across. Okay, this is going to give me 3 to the 4th power, 2 plus 2. Just like this is going to give me x to the 8th power, 6 plus 2. Now, I told you you could leave it 3 to the 4th power for this quiz if you wanted to. Alright, but if you put 81, that's fine also. Let's see, so this is number 11. So we had 1 over 3 to the 4th power x to the 8th power. So that's number 11. Okay, last we have number 12. Oh, there it is. Okay, these are positive exponents, so I'm going to do this power to everything. So if you have a power raised to a power, you multiply. So this part over here is going to give me x to the negative 36 power. Alright, it's negative 6 times 6, so that's negative 36. And I'll have y to the 24 power. Okay, so that's that. Now this part over here, alright, I'm just doing this 3 to everything, including the 2. This is not 2 times 3. I'm not going to put 6. This is 2 to the 3rd power. So, you know, I could put 8, or I could have left it 2 to the 3rd power for a little while. But I can already see there's no other numbers, so I would have wound up putting 8 eventually. Anyway, on with the variable part. So I have x to the 15th power, multiply, and I will have y to the negative 9 power, multiply. Now, before I start moving around the things that have negative powers, I might as well put together the like variables. So when you multiply these x's together, you add the exponents. Okay, so I'm doing negative 36 plus 15. So even on a bootleg calculator, alright, because you will not be allowed to use a TI-30XS multiview, so pretend this is a bootleg calculator. You know that if I want to do negative 36 plus 15, when those signs are different, you're basically subtracting. So in your 4-function calculator, you could simply do 36 minus 15. Okay, so you know they're 21 apart. But who's going to win, the negatives or the positives? The negatives are going to win because there's more of them. So it's really negative 21. Alright, if only you were allowed to use the TI-30, then you could have gone negative 36 plus 15. And that would just do all the work for you. So, but you had to think a little bit on a 4-function calculator to understand that it's negative 21. Anyway, it is negative 21. So we have x to the negative 21 power. Okay, we've got that 8. Might as well write that down. And now the y's, simply 24 minus 9. Alright, I'm hoping you don't need a calculator for that, but if you did, even a 4-function calculator would give it to you. Okay, so I've got y to the 15th power. Alright, notice it's positive, the bigger number is positive. Now that it's all collected into a, one term here, now I will look for any negative exponents which tell me that I need to drop the variable to the other side of the invisible fraction. So when I recopy this, this will be my final answer. So the 8 and the y to the 15th are going to stay in the top. But the x to the 21 power is going to drop down to the bottom. And this is the final answer. Alright, so I've got 8y to the 15th over x to the 21. Okay, and that is it for this quiz. Just make sure that you can do every problem on this paper by yourself. So if you were found yourself copying off of me, despite my advice earlier, then as soon as you get a chance, you need to take out a sheet of your own paper, open up the blank document, and redo this entire quiz and make sure you can get 100, because the test is coming, and all of these same problems, well, not the exact same problems, but problems just like these are going to be on the test. So make sure you can do them. Alright, I will see you on the next video.